Good evening, folks. Um, Today in this Newswatch episode 26, I decided to, in most of this video today, to make a retrospective on just 4 days of uh, Trump communications or decisions in regard to this entire situation in Iran. Just 4 days, okay? And I used one single source of information, one single one, just one, Euronews here from Europe. Okay, this is the one that I use. I would ask you to go and visit their channel, to subscribe to their contents, follow to their channel if you can, and I think you will like it because it's a bit dry sometimes, but at least you get facts. You don't get fictions. Okay, I will also provide the links to all the videos that I will be using in this channel, reinforcing the fact that I do not monetize this stream. I was thinking of making a stream, but I decided to make a video. This video is not monetized at all, and the videos that I show, they are purely for educational purposes only, and I make not a single penny on the contents of anyone else. Okay, I would just like to reinforce this idea so that you don't think I'm taking advantage of the contents of someone else. Also, I again ask you to go and visit Euronews and go and check out their content. Now, without further ado, let's go. Let's watch the first one. Let me just slide on back here. Hello. Now, this one is dated 4 days ago from Euronews. As I told you, Trump insists Iran badly wants to deal with the US after Tehran dismisses his ceasefire proposal. Let me just increase the sound here a bit. Let's listen. These are short videos.
U.S. President Donald Trump insists negotiations to end the war with Iran are ongoing, even after Tehran had repeatedly rejected his claims and dismissed a 15-point proposal outlining U.S. demands, countering it with a list of their own demands. Trump had earlier warned Iran of significant escalations in intensity if it fails to enter a deal with the U.S., as he reiterated Washington's ability to prolong the fighting until its goals are achieved. Speaking at a fundraising dinner for his Republican Party, Trump said Iran's denial of ongoing talks is out of fear of being killed by their own people.
We're winning so big, nobody's ever seen anything like we're doing in the Middle East with Iran. And they are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to say it because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid they'll be killed by us. There's never been a head of a country that wanted that job less.
Meanwhile, U.S. attacks have continued to strike targets across Iran, including in Isfahan, home to military bases and the infamous nuclear site, where residents reported major explosions. Israeli attacks are also continuing in Lebanon, where the IDF says it's continuing to dismantle networks of Iran's proxy, Hezbollah.
אנחנו מרחיבים את רצועת הביטחון הזאת כדי להרחיק את האיום של הנ"ט על יישובינו ועל שטחנו. אנחנו פשוט מייצרים אזור חיץ גדול יותר. עכשיו, סוגיית פירוק החיזבאללה היא עומדת לנגד עינינו. הדבר הזה קשור גם במערכה הכוללת עם איראן, שהיא עדיין בעיצומה, בניגוד למה שמדווח בתקשורת.
Meanwhile, Iran is continuing to fire its retaliatory barrages at Israel and neighboring Gulf Arab states hosting U.S. bases. The death tolls across the various fronts have now risen to over 1,500 in Iran, 1,100 in Lebanon, 20 in Israel, and 13 U.S. troops. Oil prices remain stubbornly high as the crucial Strait of Hormuz continues to be closed, with Brent crude, the international standard, trading at around $104 a barrel on Thursday morning.
All right, let me focus back at me. So, as you can see, beyond the other, let's call it his other friend, uh, this is what he said. They are winning bigly, and Iran wants to negotiate. And as we know, Iran said, "No, we are not. No, we don't want. We don't want to negotiate with you. You are still amassing troops at our borders, so you're not here to negotiate. You are here to attack us." Okay. The next one is now also 4 days ago, but a little later. So let's see what Mr. Trump says about the operations of the U.S. in Iran. Here I am again.
U.S. President Donald Trump is insisting that Iran is begging to make a deal to end the war. The president, speaking at the start of a cabinet meeting on Thursday, said he wanted to set the record straight that he isn't the one pushing for a deal.
26 days in, we're really a lot ahead of schedule. The Iranian regime is now admitting to itself that they have been decisively defeated. They're saying to people, this is a disaster. They know it. That's why they're talking to us. They wouldn't talk otherwise. And they'll tell you, we're not negotiating. We will not negotiate. Of course they're negotiating. They've been obliterated. Who wouldn't negotiate? They are begging to make a deal.
U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff said there were strong signs Iran could be convinced to make a peace deal, even though Iranian officials have denied they are negotiating with the U.S. as the war continues in its fourth week. Trump also again criticized his NATO allies for not sending naval assets to secure the Strait of Hormuz.
Nobody's a match for the United States, but they're not a match for the United States. It's small potatoes. That's why I'm so disappointed in NATO, because this was a test for NATO. This was a test. You can help us. You don't have to, but if you don't if you don't do that, we're going to remember. Just remember this in a number of months from now. Remember my statements.
The U.S. has offered shifting objectives, including destroying Iran's missile and nuclear programs, ending Tehran's support for armed groups in the region, and pushing for the overthrow of Iran's theocracy. While the U.S.-Israeli campaign has hit Iran's military and government hard, killing top leaders and striking scores of targets, Iran continues to fire missiles, and there is no sign of an uprising against the government.
All right.
U.S. President.
Sorry, I started the video again. Okay then, so let me just try to understand this. First, the operations are ahead of schedule, and they are winning. And any minute now, it will end because they will end. Then they want the support of their NATO allies, and NATO is not an offensive alliance, it's a defensive alliance, if you don't know that. And this was all a test. All a test to do what, Donald? That we would jump if you say jump, that we would do whatever you want to. Right now, in this moment, I would tell you to fuck off, but I won't say it. I won't say fuck off. And then, look, it's like watching some kind of dark and very not funny episode of Monty Python, because it's so absurd. It's beyond absurd. The man contradicts himself in two or three two or three words that you. So, look, Donald, if we are small potatoes, then why did you wanted our help? Why do you want us in the Strait of Ormuz? Uh, Perhaps losing our soldiers, losing our money, so to speak. Most of our oil doesn't come from the Strait of Ormuz. It comes from the USA, it comes from Canada, it comes from Nigeria, it comes from Algeria. What you are doing, Donald, is that you are damaging us by contamination. Okay, because if oil is expensive, it's expensive everywhere, including in the USA, where your own citizens are complaining about the price of oil. But then again, you, the master of the deal, you don't seem to know a lot about economy because you are bankrupting the USA just like you bankrupted every business you touched. And this affects. I'm not mocking the man. I'm stating facts, not lies, not illusions. Facts. A good businessman doesn't bankrupt his business. A good businessman makes their business to be more profitable, then sells that business to buy another business, and then proceeds to do so in order to obtain more and more profit. But I have to be honest and say this: in this latest, so to call, in this latest adventure or economic, no, you call it a walk or a stroll or some shit like that in Iran. Well, you've been making billions ever since you became president, and so have your children and your friends and almost everyone in your cabinet. Okay, but I better continue. Okay, now let's see another one, another little video. This one is 3 days ago. Let's watch this one. This one is also interesting. Trump extends deadline for Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
US President Donald Trump announced
The same Strait of Hormuz that apparently is already open.
late on Thursday that he's extending his deadline for Iran to reopen the crucial Strait of Hormuz by 10 days, reportedly in response to an Iranian government request. In a post on his own social media platform Truth Social, Trump revealed that talks with Tehran to end the war are, quote, going very well, despite what he said were erroneous false statements by what he called the fake news media. Speaking at a cabinet meeting on Thursday shortly before his announcement, Trump
I'm drinking water, folks, by the way.
sideswept questions about the strategic waterway, indicating that his decisions are made based on advice from his envoys.
I don't know yet. I don't know. Mr. Witkoff and JD and Jared will tell me whether or not they think it's going along. And if it's not going along, maybe not. And we have a lot of time. You know what? It's a day. In Trump time, a day, you know what it is? That's an eternity.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says Washington continues to see a daily increase in traffic in the Gulf, despite not fully securing the strait.
The Iranians believe they are fighting a two-front war. It is the military war that our great warriors are prosecuting, but on the other side,
I would just like to stop this and say this. Scott Bessent, don't you dare call yourself warriors, because you're not warriors. You are greedy little sheep. You have no honor. You would sell your ass for gold. You are not warriors. And more than that, don't compare yourself to the American soldier, because I am sure that 99% of the American soldiers, they are warriors. They are good people. They are people I would sit down and buy them a beer, and I would talk with them and I would discuss things with them, because I'm sure most of them, whatever color whatever shade of melanin they have, Scott Bessent, they would understand a lot more about this than you. War is sweet for those that have never tasted it. You know nothing. Let's continue.
Side, they are trying to take control of the global economy through a choke point that we believe does not exist and that we will overcome. Mr. President, we are starting to see more and more movement in and out of the Gulf today.
Iran has allowed the passage of a certain number of of, of ships from a group of countries, from China, from Thailand, if I recall, and a couple of more, because those countries negotiated directly with Iran for safe passage through the Straits. It had nothing to do with the United States. The United States had no control over it. Zero. This is public. Those countries spoke about it. Iran spoke about it. European press spoke about it. Pardon. Everyone spoke about it. You have zero control on the Strait of Ormuz. The United States does not control the Strait of Ormuz. Iran is controlling the Strait of Ormuz. Prove it to me that Iran is not controlling the Strait of Ormuz. Okay? Let Mr. Trump get in a dinghy and sit in the middle of the Strait of Ormuz and do some fishing. That would convince me that the Americans have full control over the Strait of Ormuz. You have no control over the Strait of Ormuz. Continue.
And this is more than yesterday, and this is the beginning. I am confident that shipping traffic will continue to increase on a daily basis, even before we secure the straits.
The strait has been effectively closed for transit for almost 4 weeks, and with it halting the traffic of 20% of the world's oil flows, skyrocketing prices. On Thursday, Brent crude, the international standard, continued to trade at above $107 a barrel, representing a more than 60% spike in prices compared to pre-war numbers. The halt in exports has significantly increased fuel prices at the pumps, and
I'm sorry, can you read? Can you read this? The Strait of Ormuz has now been effectively closed for almost 4 weeks. And Scott Bessent is talking shit. Remember this. This is why I like Euronews, because they present the truth, not illusions.
rattled global markets. U.S.
Okay. Now, as we can see, there's a lot to digest in these small videos, but we are going to watch a couple of more. I got about 3 or 4 more videos so that we can watch. Mr. President, continue. This is just the beginning. The beginning of what? The ships that passed through the straits, okay, they were allowed by Iran to pass. The world's largest insurance of shipping trade, which is Lloyd's in London. I believe it's in London. Yes, it's in London. Okay, as you can see, this is all me. This is not AI. Okay, and I'm not checking Google to make my videos. I'm watching the videos and I'm reacting to them with you. But they are refusing, the insurance companies, they are refusing to insure ships. But they are insuring ships that are allowed to pass via the straits by Iran. If they are insured by the United States, no. And Mr. Trump wanted our Navy to leave Europe defenseless, okay, because the United States has been hogging the weapons production in Europe to keep us nice and dependent of them, and now they are all mad because we are increasing our weapons productions again, and we are detaching from the American economy, this is not something that will go away. Not even if the United States tomorrow elects another president. This will be a tendency for the future, and it will accelerate over time. Because you have to look at things this way. They start slow, and then suddenly they accelerate. This is how things are going to be done here. You are seeing it happen as we speak. Okay? So, Mr. Besant, the United States controls nothing in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz. And again, I will repeat this so people don't start pumping shit into my comment sections. Okay? I don't like Iran. I don't like their regime. But I don't want to change their regime. It's not up to me to change their regime. It's up for the people that live there. The people that live in Iran, and you are going to say, oh, but the dictatorship will kill them. Well, we were under a dictatorship too here. A lot of us also were killed, or worse than that, sent into the then colonies to die in some place far away. A lot of us had to immigrate. A lot of us had to suffer. That is the way of life. Freedom is not a right. Freedom is something you earn. Rights are something that you earn. I would love to live in an ideal world where everyone's rights would be assumed and respected automatically, but they are not. We are not living in a bloody optimal world. And the sooner people get used to that, and the sooner you teach the new generations, the younger generations that, the sooner we can evolve and create a better world. A world where we will always continuously have to be, as we are, on the lookout for people like Mr. Trump, for people like Mr. Besant, for all of these people like Mr. Orban, like Putin, for all of these people that we don't need. But some of us didn't look, and they resurface again like shit floating in the water. Now, let's see another one. Trump uses a Sharpie anecdote to dress the stress on cost cutting. This one was very amusing. I think it's very amusing, especially for all of those Americans that are living in their cars or dying of hunger in the best world, in the best country in the world. I know, or without healthcare. I'm sure they laughed their asses off with these little jokes. This is French Revolution level, my friends.
See this pen right here? This pen is an interesting example. It's the same thing. So this pen is very inexpensive, but it writes well. I like it. But I can't have the pen the way it was. You know what it is. I don't want to give too much publicity, but they do treat me well, Sharpie. So I came here, they have $1,000 pens. And you know, you hand pens out, you're signing and you hand them out, you're handing them to all these people. Sometimes you have 30, 40 people. And they were $1,000 a piece. Beautiful pen, ballpoint. 1,000, it was gold, silver, gorgeous. But I'm handing out to kids that don't even know what they are. What is this, Mommy? It's kids. They're getting a pen for $1,000. They have no idea what it is. And I feel guilty because I'm like, you know, I'm by nature, I don't, you know, it's the government. I love the government like I love myself economically. I want to save money. So I'm saying, this is crazy. And it had another problem. They didn't write well. So I take it out. And I saw it, and there's no ink. And I got all you people looking, and you say, there must be something wrong with Trump. And I'm signing, and there's no ink in the pen, and it costs $1,000. This one, I called the guy. I said, I'd like to use your pen, but I can't have a gray thing with a big S on it saying Sharpie. As I'm signing $1 trillion airplane contract to buy brand new fighter jets, brand new B-2 bombers, of which we just ordered plenty. Just to finish on this one. So I told that story to somebody and said, yeah, but I mean.
How can you watch this and not have the urge to repeatedly punch the screen?
But it's not the same thing. I said, you're right. This one is better. It writes. So the guy said to me, you don't have to pay me, sir. I'll give them to you for nothing. I said, no, I don't want that. Let me pay you. I want to pay you. No, sir, you don't have to. You're the President of the United States. He was shocked. The head of Sharpie gets a call. I don't even know who the hell he is. He said, is this really the President? He said, no, you don't have to pay me, sir. This is such an honor. I said, nope, I want to pay you. And he said, what would you like to pay? I said, how about $5 a pen? He said, that's all right, whatever the hell we agreed to. Peanuts. As opposed to 1,000. And these were $1,000 pens. And we were giving them out. Sometimes, you know, you were there for signings. I'd have 30, 40 people standing behind me. I'd give out 40 pens to people. Then somebody would say, could I have a couple extra? This way I'd go like this. Here, you want 5? Here, take 5. But the bottom line is, they're better pens. It's a business story. So for $5, could be 0, but for $5, I get a much better pen than for $1,000. And I can hand them out, and actually they become hot as a pistol. So what can I tell you? With that, could I give it to, please, a man who's done a great job at Treasury? Good luck, Scott.
Well, sir, as always, you're a tough act to follow.
As always, you're a tough act to follow. I mean, how pedantic, how arrogant can you be? I'm going to tell you a little story. I'll just talk a bit about this. I watched a video yesterday from a guy, a German that is living in Venice Beach, and I watched the video about him, and I like that guy. You know, he's a very genuine person. He's funny. So I sometimes just to those types of videos that you put on your background while you are doing something else, and you watch and you listen to him talk and whatever. You know, it's I like it. You know, I sometimes just like to put a video on while I'm doing something. In this case, I was working in a game that I'm developing, because I have to keep my mind occupied, because I work during the day, and then at night everything crashes down, and I need to occupy myself before I go and try and rest. And I was watching. He was going around in Hollywood and all in Los Angeles, all in Los Angeles. Sorry, in Hollywood and all in the area and at the beach. And I was shocked to see how many people were simply laying down on the floor, just laying down on the floor, homeless. And then the contrast to the stars of the of the important people, they call them important people of the past, and a homeless person laying on it, a drunk person also, a mad person, junkie, and then normal people passing by, working people passing by, and it was almost as a dystopian scenario. And then I hear Americans say Europeans are not that different from Americans. No, we are very different from you. In fact, you have nothing to do with us. Just because we share some genetics, to me, it's meaningless. Because culturally, we are not the same. Not at all. Well, let's continue. The next video. Trump threatens to obliterate Iran's Kurd Island oil hub if no deal reached shortly. This one was 5 hours ago, so we are speeding up a bit. Let's listen.
US President Donald Trump has threatened to destroy Iran's oil export hub of Kurd Island, along with other oil wells and power plants, if Tehran does not agree to end the war soon. He wrote on his Truth social network that the United States is in, quote, serious discussions with a more reasonable regime. About 90% of Iran's crude oil exports leave the country via Kurd Island, much of it destined for China and other Asian markets. Any attack on its energy infrastructure could have serious consequences for global oil markets that have already been pushed to the brink. Meanwhile, a fire broke out on Monday at an oil refinery in the northern Israeli city of Haifa for the second time during the month-long war with Iran. Images showed flames on a large refinery tank with thick black smoke that was quickly extinguished by Israel's fire and rescue services. It wasn't clear if it was a missile strike or debris from the interception that caused the blaze. The attack comes as Israel launched attacks targeting Iran's South Pars natural gas field.
All right, let's focus back. So, now Mr. Trump is basically threatening the Kurd Island. If you don't know what the Kurd Island is, it's basically a gas station. Okay, Iran uses it as a hub, a port, and a hub to export the oil from the country of Iran. Okay, from the hub, the coast to other destinies. So it's basically a gas hub, a gas station. It's heavily fortified by now because they know that the United States wants to take over the island. It's probably already completely fortified. And if anyone tries to occupy that island, they will be subjected to continuous bombardment from the mainland, from heavy, I'm going to repeat this word again, heavy defended bunkers from the rocky coastline, which is basically the Zagros Mountains. So for you that don't understand, if you want to know how it is, go on Google Earth. They give you a good perspective on how the area is. Okay, so if they invade Kharg Island, number one, I don't even know if they will be able to take over it. Number two, they won't be able to hold on to it. It will be a bloodbath. It will be a and and this is a war, like I said in my latest the other video that I did this weekend. It's a war that the United States cannot afford. The United States is already ruining its economy with all that is happening with the relationship with the allies. Uh, I wouldn't call us allies. I would call us hostages. Hmm? With all that is happening with the hostages, and the United States is going to start a war with Iran again. Again, starting a war with Iran. Look, I don't know what else to tell you about this. let's just speed that up because I'm taking too long talking about this, and I didn't plan for such a long video. Now let's talk about the next one, which is Trump says deal could be reached soon as Iran warns against U.S. ground invasion. This one is 16 hours ago, so I went a bit back, but this one is important. Let's watch.
Strikes continued to rain down on Iran overnight, even as U.S. President Donald Trump repeated claims that a deal could be reached soon to end the war. Iran's energy ministry reported power outages in the capital Tehran and surrounding areas following attacks on electricity industry facilities. Kuwait said one worker was killed after a retaliatory strike hit a power station and water desalination site. And Saudi Arabia said its forces detected and intercepted 5 ballistic missiles.
And we will probably, I think we'll make a deal with them, pretty sure. Whether it's possible, we won't. But we've had regime change, if you look already, because the one regime was decimated, destroyed, they're all dead. The next regime is mostly dead. And the third regime, we're dealing with different people than anybody's dealt with before. It's a whole different group of people. So I would consider that regime change.
The Speaker of Iran's parliament accused Washington of using diplomacy as a smokescreen as it warned against a possible ground invasion. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced plans on Sunday to expand his country's ground invasion of southern Lebanon. Across the region, the death toll continues to rise as the war grinds on into its second month. Despite making diplomatic overtures, the United States has also been sending more military assets into the region. According to the Washington Post, the Pentagon was preparing plans for weeks of ground operations, potentially including raids on sites near the Strait of Hormuz, though Trump has not yet approved any deployment.
What can I say? Again, the same story. He's talking about so-called negotiations that are non-existent. Okay, if you want to know if there are any negotiations going on or not, look at Pakistan. I think it's Pakistan that is trying to negotiate a deal between the parties, or the Gulf countries that also want this to end. Apparently, Saudi Arabia doesn't want this to end, but to be honest, I am very unsure about that because they are losing millions. What they want, at this one, I heard them say they want Trump to end this. Okay, that he cannot let this be just as it is. Finished. He has to finish the job. But the issue here is that he cannot finish the job. And what if he invades Iran? What if he starts another war? Millions will die, and the consequences of what is happening right now in the Strait of Ormuz, they will even last longer. You have to understand this. Right now, if you stopped all of this right now and oil started to flow normally again through the Strait of Hormuz by some kind of the agreement that they would reach, we would still be under the effects of this event for at least a year. And now imagine how many years we will be if they continue with the hostilities or if they extend them into Iran. And meanwhile, Israel is getting what it wants. It's getting to expand their territory, creating so-called buffer zones that then they are going to fill with settlers and say, but we are already here, so we have to stay, just like what they did in Palestine. And people in Lebanon are suffering. And you will tell me they are terrorists from Hezbollah. Well, why do you have terrorists, Palestinian terrorists from Hezbollah in Lebanon? Who caused them to go there? Santa Claus? Again, I tell this to people. Okay, I personally don't want people in Israel to die or some shit like that. I have said this on and on and on again. I'm not a bloody anti-Semite. I think the two-state solutions is the only solution for what is happening, the situation that we have right now is to have two states, have the Palestinians have their part of Palestine, have the Israelites have their part of Israel, and let them try to live in peace and quiet with each other. This is my solution for the problem. And pragmatically, there is no other situation, no other solution. Imagine Israel expels all the Palestinians. They get the land. Do you think they will last long? Do you think that the other countries won't do all that they can to destroy Israel, or do you think they will just forget? No, they won't forget. The world won't forget. Okay? Genocide is always genocide. You can change the words, you can change the actors. Just like a war is always a war, you can call it a special military operation, but it's still a bloody war. But facts, they endure in time. If you expel people, if you expel populations that were residents there, that lived there, that grew there, that have their roots there, if you expel them, that is a form of genocide. And then you are going to tell me, oh, but that was the land of the Jews and they were expelled. No. Most of the people that were in Palestine that were of the Jewish faith, they converted to Christianity and then to Islam. You have to stop that historic anecdote. And just like a lot of people here in the Iberian Peninsula and in Greece and in the Slavic countries converted to Judaism and became Jewish people. Okay, calling that entire myth of the elected of the special people and all of that shit, that's shit. Judaism is a religion and it's a culture. Because of the type of religion that it is, it associates family bonds to religion, but it's just a religion. It's a religion like anyone else, or any other. My people here in Portugal, they also call themselves the son of Luzos, which was a god, and they said they were the elected people of that god. On the German side of my family, the youngest child of the family was dedicated to Odin, and they were sacred warriors of Odin. Okay, it's all myths, it's all ideas. That is all that it is. And if you want to believe in that, you are free to believe in whatever you want. I believe in what I want. I have my own religious stance. So can you. But to try and make it as a motive to justify crime, you will not get my support. No. Let's continue. Sorry. Now, this is just one that will contradict. Sorry. Let me just make a little pause here. I need to blow my nose. Sorry about this. It's a time of allergies. Now, this one is related to the oil deliveries to Cuba that has been under siege by the United States, but now has received oil from Russia and food from China. Funny. I bet you didn't see that on American TV. I will talk about that one of China, but for now.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Sunday he would have no problem with a Russian oil tanker off the coast of Cuba delivering relief to the island, which has been heavily affected by a U.S. oil blockade. He appeared to confirm reports that a sanctioned Russian oil tanker was just off the eastern tip of the island and expected to arrive there by Tuesday.
Well, we have a tanker out there. We don't mind having somebody get a boatload because they have to survive. It wouldn't bother me.
That report is true as far as you know?
Well, I would say, I told them, if a country wants to send some oil into Cuba right now, I have no problem with it.
Do you worry that that helps?
Whether it's Russia or no.
Experts say the anticipated shipment could produce about 180,000 barrels of diesel, enough to feed Cuba's daily demand for 9 or 10 days. The U.S. blockade has had a devastating effect on the island's civilians, who suffer from long blackouts and a lack of resources that has pushed the nation to the brink of collapse.
This is also a former genocide. Remember that.
A growing number of countries and aid organizations, as well as a civilian flotilla, have stepped up efforts to bring aid to the island as the UN warns of a deepening humanitarian crisis.
Right. So, another brilliant event. Now this is Cuba. This has been happening for weeks. No one has given a shit about it. Everyone has been focused on other things. But you have to understand this. People have been dying in Cuba. As you and I speak right here, people are dying in Cuba.
The EU and Australia.
Sorry. Okay? You have to understand this. And you have to understand that the US is doing this. So I'm having a bit of an issue here. Okay? You have to understand that it's the same story all over again. Again, do I like the regime of Cuba? No, because it doesn't allow people to be free. But who the hell am I to tell the Cubans how they should live? Who the hell am I? Who the hell are you? Who the hell is Donald Trump? Okay, we cannot look, and I'm not saying negotiate with them and be all cozy with them. No, I'm not saying that. But if they are not attacking any country in the vicinity, if they are not threatening any country in the vicinity, then you allow them to live as the hell they want to live. If they want to live in some kind of communist utopia, let them live in their communist utopia. Who am I to tell them to not do it? Stop meddling in the life of other people. You want to know what you have proven, Mr. Trump? You have proven how weak the United States is. Because a strong United States would come to Cuba, would first help them, I will repeat this again, would first help them, would send in some oil, some food, and would show that I am the regional dominating potency here. And what have you shown? That Russia and China can come into your doorstep and call you a fucking idiot and do whatever they want. This is what you have proven. That is not strength. That is weakness. A bully never understands what true strength is. The strongest person in the room is not the person that screams the louder. The stronger person in the room is the person that knows when to speak. Like the ancients used to say, I will quote here uh, a nice little quote from the classics that is, the empty vessel is the one that makes the more noise when it shatters. A wise man speaks because he has to speak. A fool speaks because he wants to speak. Do you understand, Mr. Trump? What you are doing is being a fool. And you, with all the strength that your country still has, you are squandering it in ego trips. Now, I want to talk about one more news, and this one is about the landmark agreement between the EU and Australia, because this is an important topic, okay? And I think we are going to see further developments on this, especially now with the consequences of what the United States is doing in the Straits of Ormuz has been having for Australia, which have been very serious. If you don't if you don't know what is happening in Australia, watch their news. I watched some of their news, and it's the oil shortages in Australia are getting to be very worrisome indeed. But let's watch this more a video, another one, just for us, just so that I don't spend an entire Newswatch talking only about Trump and Iran. Let's watch this video. It's interesting. It's a short one.
The EU and Australia seal a landmark trade deal. What does trade between the two look like? In 2025, the EU exported 36.9 billion euros worth of goods to Australia, while imports stood at 10.2 billion euros. This left the bloc with a trade surplus of 26.7 billion euros, according to the latest Eurostat data. Both exports and imports dipped slightly compared to 2024, down 4.9% and 4.8% respectively. However, over the longer term, trade has grown strongly. Since 2015, exports have risen nearly 40% and imports have risen by almost 50%. The EU's top exports to Australia were medicinal and pharmaceutical products, making up 13.1%, followed by road vehicles at 11.1% and industrial machinery at 9.5%. On the import side, coal, coke and briquettes dominated, accounting for 29% of all imports. These were followed by oilseeds and oleaginous fruits at 15.3% and gold at 7.2%. Thanks to the sweeping deal, trade between the EU and Australia is expected to grow up 33% over the next decade. Under the deal, more than 99% of tariffs on EU exports to Australia will be eliminated, saving businesses around 1 billion euros a year.
Now, the first word about this video that I'm going to give is to the Brexiters, and to tell you this. This is how a deal is made, not that shit deal that you have, because you do indeed have a shit deal. You wanna know what's the only good thing about your deal with Australia? Is to allow your nurses and doctors to leave the United Kingdom and go work and live in Australia. That is all. Nothing more. If you were a part of the EU, now you would be benefiting from this. Think about that. But now, this is a very important agreement because Australia also has uranium, they have rare earths, and Europe is developing the aerospatial industry. Europe is building arm factories. We are building a series of things in high technology and weaponry. So we are going to need a steady supply of those components. In this way, we will not be dependent neither on China or the United States of America. Because, dependency with China is complicated. I think we have to have trade with China. No doubts about it, okay? I think we need to keep things civil with China, but I think also that we need to keep a control over our relationship with them. Okay? So, unlike some comments that I had on one of my videos, no, I don't believe that China is a paradise. It's not. Okay, and if you go to the trouble to watch some videos of Chinese YouTubers, you will see the degree of control that exists in their cities and in their societies, and that is something that I do not want to have in our societies. Okay, I don't like too much intermission of the government in our private lives. I want our private lives to be private, and I want our public lives to be public. Okay, simple as that. I don't believe in excess control. I don't believe in anything of this. Okay, that is why I cannot be an extreme leftist or extreme person in the right wing, because both of them believe in a high degree of control of the state over your life. And to me, that is absolutely disgusting. Okay, this is why I'm happy that here the question related to sexual identity, all the issues related with transgender people and all of that. For us, that is a medical subject. Okay, it has nothing to do with politics. Politicians have nothing. They should not meddle into that, because those are the personal rights of the citizens, and no one should be forced to explain uh, their personal options. Let's call it like this, because I know there are not options. This is just for you to understand what I'm trying to say. You don't have to explain yourself to a politician. Why should a man or a woman that wants uh, to assume another sex, meaning change their gender, why should someone that already took that extremely difficult decision, in my opinion, why should they justify themselves before uh, any kind of politician? Who the fuck are the politicians? They have to talk with their doctors, okay? They have to talk with their doctors. They have to see if that is really what they want, because it's a very important decision. They have to, and then the doctor has to see how they can help that person. And honestly, I don't care that if a part of my taxes go into helping these people. Why not? If we are helping people with other problems, and I'm not calling it a problem, you understand what I'm trying to say. But it's not the same thing as I don't know, as taking a shot because of a flu or something like that. Okay, it's a serious thing. But why shouldn't our taxes go to help those people? Okay, because in the end of the day, all that you want is people to be healthy, to be happy, and to be just themselves, to be able to live their lives as they want to live. And this is why the extremes, to me, don't attract me, because each and every of these extremes, from the ones that try to cancel every word that they consider to be offensive or something like that, that want to be in the extreme side of things, to the other ones that want to ban and forbade of everything, they are both wrong. Human beings are not we are not a single unit, okay? You cannot grab a particular human being, put him in a box, that human being will perfectly fit that box. You cannot do that, okay? I have brothers, and we are the sons of the same father, of the same mother, okay? and we all have completely different personalities. This is just an example, okay? And I can look at a dozen people that I know, and we are all different. Difference is good, okay? Nature promotes the different. Nature promotes different avenues of evolution. Nature doesn't like things that are very uniform and stagnated. Okay, look at the dinosaurs. The ones that were able to change became the birds that we see today every day in the sky. Okay, the dinosaurs that were able to change, they became the birds. The other ones, they're not here anymore. They're extinct. Same thing with humans. Some humans evolved. The only Neanderthals that survived were the ones that were able to mingle, to mix with the Homo sapiens. All the others, they had reached a dead end in terms of evolution. They would not evolve anymore. Okay, they were stagnated in their position. The ones that were smart enough, let's call it like this, to mingle with the Homo sapiens, they are still here. They are living in us. Okay? Black people have a lesser percentage of them. White people have a bigger percentage. White people and Asian people have a larger percentage of them. But they are here. They are in our blood, in our veins, in our genes. And that contribution is also very important to us. Okay? Scientists are now only discovering how important their genes are, what they brought us. Of course, they also brought us a couple of bad things. Why not? That is normal. Okay? But what I'm trying to tell you here is this. The EU reaching out to different parties, to India, to South America with the Mercosur, Canada, to Mexico, to Africa. I think the EU needs to invest a bit more in Africa too. Okay? All of these agreements, they are extremely important, both for the future of Europe, but not just that, to the future of the world. Because Europe doesn't act as a conqueror. Okay? We want to make trade agreements. We want to bring peace and prosperity. Because, and this is important, this is something the Brexiters also don't understand, the core of the European project is a project of peace. This was born after World War II to make sure European nations wouldn't go at war at each other. And then it transformed into a project of peace, of understanding, of bringing people together. And if you think I'm dreaming of utopias and all of that, just stop it, because I don't believe in utopias. I don't believe that the European Union is perfect, just like I don't believe any other country is perfect. Nothing is perfect. Even the happiest country in the world, I think it's Finland or something like that, they're not perfect either. They also have their issues, they also have their problems. Everyone has their problems. But we should wish and hope for the best for us and for the ones that will come after us. Even if you don't have children, okay, you should wish for the best for the people that will stay here after you are gone, after you die. We should all ambition to leave the world a better place than the one we found it. We should not be egotistic, selfish little people, okay, starting wars to distract from our past crimes, to keep ourselves in power, in order to not get prosecuted and be forced to pay for our crimes. We should not be amassing wealth in such a manner. To me, wealth should be taxed at a degree. People should be allowed to struggle to look. I'm a capitalist too. Okay, people should be able to amass wealth, to make themselves better, to progress, and all of that. But to me, we should all agree that from a certain level of wealth up, all that wealth that would be produced would have to be mandatorily put in a fund and used for charitable work. And you would put the governments of the world, of the country where that wealth was produced, you would put where those wealthy people would live, you would put the country, the someone from that country to decide how the wealth would be distributed. And it would all be public and everyone would see it and it will be all completely clear. But from a level up, look, it's immoral. It's immoral to have people that are so wealthy they are able to influence governments and they are able to disrupt elections. Okay, and I'm not going to mention in here because we all know who I'm talking about. All right, that is immoral. And I'm also talking about the people that stay in the background and do this. This is immoral. This is not right. Okay, it's look. You want to have a better house. Hmm? You want to have a successful business. Well, so does everybody. And I'm not saying to not have the ambition, sorry, to do that. I'm not saying to not have the urge to go and get that. That's good, okay? It's a life purpose like any other life purpose, okay? And it's important because it drives forces inside of the society. Look at the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union completely stagnated and it died. And now it's that zombie that Putin is trying to recreate again. Okay, those societies don't work. Even China, it had to become capitalist. Okay, and in the end, I'll tell you this: in the end, China will go completely democratic. Sooner or later, it will happen because the state won't be able to hold on to the reins of power like they are doing. For now, it's convenient for everyone. It's convenient for the Chinese people. It's convenient for those that are in the upper echelons of society. But as soon as it becomes non-convenient, they will transform it into a democracy. Okay? When people say democracy is bad, but it's the best that we have, I say you are wrong. Democracy is the best way. Democracy will win. You want to know why? Because even the ancients used to say that willing obedience always defeat always defeats forced obedience. Slaves and peasants are not citizens. You can have an army of citizens or of peasants and of slaves. They will break. A citizen will never break. No, that was the strength of Greece before the decadence, before the Macedonian conquest and all of that, and even of Rome, because their armies were composed of citizens, of people that were fighting to defend and improve the conditions of their own family, of their polis, their city, of their clan, or of their nations. This is very important. This is something people need to remember. We need citizens. We don't need slaves. We don't need peasants. And we certainly do not need masters, Mr. Trump. We don't need them. We don't want them. Okay? We had a taste of it, and it left a bad taste in our mouth. The taste of blood, of death, of destruction. The same thing you are raining down, you and Israel are raining down on Iran. And the same thing that other extremists are doing in the world. Still. Some of them Islamic extremists, some of them Christian extremists, and some of them Zionists. It's all the same shit. It's all the same shit. You have to convince yourselves of that. Don't fall into those traps. Don't fall into the traps of people that try to tell you there are justifications for this and justifications for that. A school filled with children, okay, a school filled with children, their death is never justifiable. Even if it was an accident, which I don't believe. Honestly, I don't believe. That is not justifiable. It is not justifiable to see what is happening in Ukraine. It's not justifiable to see what is happening in Sudan, in Myanmar, okay, in Israel, in Lebanon. It's not justifiable. None of this is justifiable. You cannot convince me otherwise. You cannot convince me the means justify the ends. Okay? It's not justifiable. Never. This is why I can never be an extremist, and this is why I will always defend the civilians, whoever they are. I don't care who they are. If you are civilians, you don't touch them. There's a terrorist hiding behind a baby. Well, then you are not going to get that terrorist. Okay? Stop it. And as for this situation in Iran, well, let's keep watching. He's amassing troops, like I told you in my last video. I think he's going to do something. Let's hope not. But whatever happens, okay, we'll be here at least as long as there is power and and internet, and we are not living in some kind of nuclear apocalypse or some shit like that. Okay, but life is life. Well, folks, I hope that you like this Newswatch, and I hope to catch you all in the next video. Okay, now take care of yourselves, take care of the people that you love, and I don't know, try to be happy. Okay, try to go to the cafe, drink a nice espresso. Okay, have have a little cake or something that you like, and just look at the sky, watch the birds, something like that, and try to be happy. Okay, now take care.